kiddos, it's Miss Higgins. Today we're going to be doing Lesson 5, Shared Attributes of Quadrilaterals. And what this means is we're going to be talking about the things that quadrilaterals have in common. So we're going to be on page 859 in your books. So first we're going to take a look at example number 1. The diagram shows how quadrilaterals are related. What attributes are shared by both rectangles and squares? So remember, quadrilaterals are those polygons that have 4 sides. So there are a lot of different kinds. We have trapezoid, we just have quadrilateral, parallelogram, rectangle, square, and rhombus. So if we take a look at the trapezoid, we see one pair of opposite sides are parallel. For the quadrilateral, 4 sides with 4 angles. For the parallelogram, opposite sides are the same length, and both pairs of opposite sides are parallel, and opposite angles are the same size. If we take a look at the rectangle, all the attributes of a parallelogram, plus it has 4 right angles. For a square, it has all of the attributes of a parallelogram, plus 4 sides are the same length, plus 4 right angles. And for a rhombus, it has all the attributes of a parallelogram, plus it has 4 sides of the same length. So if we take a look at these connectors, that's showing us where they have similar attributes. But now our question here is, what attributes are shared by both rectangles and squares? So I'm going to move down a little bit so we can see these rectangles and squares. So rectangles and squares share the following attributes. Opposite sides are the same length. Sorry, I lost my place there for a second. All right, both pairs of blank sides are parallel, and that's going to be opposite. The opposite sides are parallel. And there are blank right angles, and that is 4. Because if we measure a square, this side and this side are going to be the same. And then this side and this side are going to be the same. And that's the same with the rectangle. This side and this side will be the same. And this side and this side will be the same. The opposite sides are parallel, which means if we continue those lines, they're never going to run into each other. And they each have 4 right angles. Now we're going to take a look at example number 2. For example number 2, a parallelogram has opposite sides that are the same length, and both pairs of opposite sides are parallel. It also has opposite angles that are the same size. Draw an example of a quadrilateral that is not a parallelogram. So, for one that is not a parallelogram, we are going to need to draw something like a trapezoid, where it's only going to have 2 sides of parallel lines. Because if we continue these lines, they will eventually run into each other, so they are not parallel. And that is our explanation here. We're going to say only two opposite sides are parallel. So if only 2 of the sides are parallel, then it is not a parallelogram. Now we're going to to take a look at our guided practice. So our first question is, name one attribute that a square has that a rhombus does not have. And our main attribute that is different is a square. So it says name one attribute that a square has that a rhombus doesn't. A square has 4 right angles and a rhombus does not. Draw an example of a quadrilateral that is not a rhombus. Well, we just said a square is not a rhombus, so I'm going to draw the best square that I can here. But you could also draw a rectangle. Classify the quadrilateral you drew and explain why it is not a rhombus. So, I could say I drew a square and it has 4 right angles. I'm going to draw the little right angles in my square then. And that proves that I did not draw a rhombus because it has those right angles. All right, kiddos, next you're moving on to that independent practice. So I hope you have an awesome day.